curiosity question, Jennifer. Like, what kind of training do you recommend for supervisors? So let's assume I have an employee that gets injured, and this happened to me a couple of years ago, where a client basically had workers' comp insurance but had not trained their employees, and so the person got injured, and literally nobody seemed to know what they're supposed to do, what's a claim, like all the words that you're using were like a foreign language for them. Turns out the client had workers' comp insurance but had not done the training. What, how do how do I find out like you mentioned, the medical provider, or I think the colloquial is MPN is the acronym. How does
Right.
someone find that out if I'm an employer?
Well, I have to say that I come across individuals that work for companies that seem to have no clue about workers' comp or what to do when an injured worker comes to them. It's almost like, oh, what do I do now? Right? And deer in headlights, like the moment has come, what do I do? And I can't stress enough the importance of training. I know there's HR trainings that they can go to. Having an individual for your company that is focused on making sure that they're in compliance. Also, making sure that you understand your insurance policy, because the insurance policy is really where you get that information regarding every employer on whatever insurance policy they have. There's different, we call them medical provider networks, MPN for short. So when an injured employee gets hurt, they have to treat with those doctors. So it is important to know who that point of contact is to be able to get that information.
So just so I understand, it's not like I can't go to my primary. I'm used to going to Kaiser and I want to go. It has to be the insurance as the doctors, right? Correct?
Right. And the employer, an important person or clinic for them to know, usually there's an appointed clinic that you could, like urgent care type clinic, that if an injury happens on the job, they can send the employee to quickly get seen by someone. And so knowing who that clinic is, you can get that information again from the insurance carrier, is important so that when that time comes, you have it. Right? And the employer is also supposed to have up those, there's posters they're supposed to have in a visible area in the workspace so that employees are aware of it.
So
Yeah,
Jennifer,
yeah. I was leading you towards that, because one of the things that I do see a lot of times is the labor posters, which are printed out, and I know Heartland provides them, and there's a blank space there that you're supposed to fill in. And more often than not, I see a lot of small businesses don't fill that in, which is usually the medical, the workers' comp information. They may have the insurance, they just don't put it in there because they don't know. And this is where training is really important. Sorry, Carlos, I cut you off. Go ahead.
So I'm glad you kind of took us there, Sanjay and Jennifer, because in our HR service, we provide the necessary training for whoever's in charge of HR. Frequently, small businesses, they don't have an HR administrator. They don't have someone that's been trained in HR. Right, so they promoted probably someone from within or a family member who's doing payroll, maybe some accounting, HR as well. So we actually provide a service where we'll go through with them and we'll explain to them what their policy should be, what should be in their handbook, and that's actually addressed. We go through the posters because although a lot of employers will have those posters up, they'll be old posters. They won't have the amendments up. They won't have the spots filled out. And every one of those boxes on that poster is a different agency and can be a different penalty. So one of the things we always tell employers is not only put the poster up, but make sure every spot is filled. And if you have a question on any of those, reach out to our and they'll address those for you. They'll help you fill them out. They'll help you provide because when it says police or something like that, you can't just put 911. You actually have to put the phone number.
I see that all the time, actually. I see that all the time, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's not helpful.